everyone, and in this video we are going to cover the rest of Chapter 4A exercises, which are beginning on page 135 in your book. The first exercise I would like to walk through is exercise 4-5A on page 135. Now, in this example here, we need to compute Francis's net pay for his November 15th paycheck. Now, the state income rate that they give to us is at 4%. So what we need to do is we need to use the wage bracket method tables for the income tax withholding, which is located in Appendix C, which is located in the back of your book. So Francis's annual salary is $50,000. He gets paid semi-monthly pay periods, which is 24. So his semi-monthly pay is $2,083.33. His 401k, as stated in the problem, he contributes 3% of his pay to 401k. So 3% of his gross pay is $62.50. Remember, this 401k comes out pre-tax. If you take his gross minus his 401 contribution of $62.50 minus section 125, which is in regards to health insurance, and that is also stated in the problem, which he contributes $25 per paycheck. But remember, he's paid semi-monthly. $25. So, and then the federal and state taxable income, remember, it's the gross minus the pre-tax, is $1,995.83. The income tax from Appendix C is $30. So, and then you have to take the taxable income, 1,995.83, multiply that by the state income tax rate of 4%, which is given to you in the problem. His state income tax is $79.83. Now, in order to figure out his Social Security and Medicare taxable income, you're going to take $2,083.33 minus the $25. So the amount that's eligible for Social Security and Medicare taxable income is $2,058.33. Multiply that by your Social Security rate of 6.2%. Social Security then is at $127.62. Medicare, remember, has no wage limits, so that's multiplied by 1.45%. It's $29.85. Now, he does get a pay advance of $750. He's repaying it back in 2 installments, so the advance prepaid for him is $375. So in order to figure out his net pay, we're going to take his gross wages of $2,083.33 minus the 401k, section 125, federal income tax, state income tax, federal FICA, Medicare, and the advance repayment, and his net pay would be $1,353.54. If you do have any questions in regards to this problem 4-5A, please let me know. The next exercise is exercise 4.6A, which is on page 135 and page 135. Now, Milligan's Millwork pays its employees on a weekly basis. So since it's a weekly basis, we're going to use the wage bracket tables from Appendix C, computing the federal income tax deductions for the following employees. Remember, when you look at Appendix C, you have to make sure that you understand when they are getting paid. And in this case, they are getting paid weekly. So for the first employee, the merited status is single. They get paid weekly, and the number of exemptions is 4. His weekly pay is $840 with 4 exemptions. So his federal tax would be $65. The next employee is single, has 2 exemptions. Their weekly pay is $1,233. And his federal income tax would be $178. The third employee is married, has 7 exemptions. on a weekly pay. So with 7 exemptions, a weekly pay of $680, there will be no federal income tax taken out. And the last employee is married with 0 exemptions and a weekly pay of $755, and their federal income tax would be $71. Remember, the Appendix C is in the back of the book, which begins on page 294 through page 311, going through also page 316. So it really does depend. Remember that if they're paid on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis in regards to the federal income tax. The next exercise is 4-7A on page 136 in your book. Now, Wayne and Associates has some employees with pay schedules with various jobs based on their job classification. We need to compute the federal tax liability for each employee using the percentage method. So the first employee that we're going to talk about is Turner. And remember, we are going to look at the chart that is located on page 120 in the chapter, which is figure 4-3. So the total wage payment is $3,000 for Turner. One withholding allowance for a weekly pay is $76.90. He claims on his W-4 of 1, so 76.90 multiplied by 1 would be $76.90. We're going to subtract step 4 from step 1 to compute the amount subject to withholding. So $3,000 minus $76.90 would be $2,923.10. Now, then we need to look at the column labeled excess of over and choose line 4, which is $1,789. And this chart, remember, is found on page 121 in your book. And we're going to look at table 1A. We're going to subtract step 6 from step 5 to give us a total of $1,134.10. We're going to multiply step 7 by 28%. The 28% comes from the table located on page 121, table 1A. Then on step 8, we're going to add $355 plus 35 cents to compute the federal income tax to withhold. So $317.55 plus $355.35 equals $672.90. So remember, the charts that we are using are on page 120 and 121. And remember to keep in mind, you have to be sure that you understand if it's a single person and a married person when you start computing the percentage method withholdings. On Kennedy, you would do the exact same thing. The allowance claimed on his W-4 is 3. He gets paid daily, so we're going to multiply step 2 by step 3, so $1,540 multiplied by 3 is $46.20. We're going to subtract 500 from the $46.20. We get $453.80. We're going to look at the column labeled excess over and choose line 3. Remember, we're going to go to the daily chart, which is located on page 122, and we're going to choose $321.20 because he is married. Okay, so this, I will make a note. This is on page 122, and it's table 8A. We're going to subtract step 6 from step 5 to get $132.60. We're going to multiply step 7 by 25%. And then if you look at table 8A, under married, you are going to add $39.67 plus the $33.15 to get $72.82 that'll be withheld from Kennedy's check. So one thing to keep in mind, like I mentioned before, it really does depend how often they do get paid, and that will determine which table you will be utilizing and the percentage method, which are located on page 121 and 122. McGorry, the same examples here, but in this one, this employee, it gets paid monthly. So the table that you will be using for him is table 4. So on table 4, we are going to be using, so you're going to use on page 121, you're going to look at table 4B, 4A for him because he's singled. And on the problem, they also tell us that he's singled and has 4 exemptions. So he gets paid $15,000. So it's 333. Multiply that by 4 exemptions. So we're going to get $1,033.30 plus $1,333.20. We're going to subtract that from $15,000. We get $13,666.80. Subtract step 4 from step 1, which we did, and then we need to look at the column in excess over and choose line 4, which is going to give us $7,754. We're going to subtract that from step 5, and then multiply step 7 by 28%, which you find on table 4A. We're going to add 1,540 to compute it plus the 1,655.58 to get the federal tax to withhold of $3,195.58. Remember, the $15,000 is found on table 4A on page 121 because he gets paid monthly. All right, Thomas, you would do the exact same thing in regards to Thomas, but Thomas in this problem is paid annually. If he is paid annually, you are going to be using table 7 on page 122. He claims 5 exemptions, so 4,000 times 5 equals $20,000. 120,000 minus 20,000 is 100. We're going to look at the column labeled excess over and choose line 3 for over married. 7, bring you 7B, and you're going to do $83,500. We're going to subtract 100,000 minus 83,500. We're going to get 16,500. Multiply that step by 25% for 4,125. In this one, we're going to look at table 7B on page 122. He's married, and since he is over the 100,000, we're going to take $10,312.50 plus the $4,125 to give us a total federal income tax to withhold of $14,437.50. If you do have any questions when you start working through the percentage method, please let me know. As I stated before, it really does truly depend if they're married or singled, along with how often they do get paid, and that will determine which table you will be utilizing in the percentage method. Exercise 4-8A. In this problem, the employees are paid on a semi-monthly basis, and we need to compute the FICA taxes for the employees for the November 15th payroll. all the employees as stated in the problem have been employed for the entire calendar year. Remember,